Welcome to Visibility by Design podcast with your host, Juliette Stapleton. In this show, I want to help you combine your marketing strategies and your human design potential so you can show up, stand out, and attract your perfect clients with confidence and ease. Are you ready? Enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome back to Visibility by Design with your host Juliette Stapleton. I have a super awesome guest for you today. In fact, I'm really honored because you see on your screen one of my favorite human design coaches in the world. Let me introduce you to Winn, human design author, human design coach, a trainer, and a founder of human design certification training for professionals. So this is all serious, guys. But the most amazing thing for me, before I pass the mic to Robin, is to share with you that Robin was the person that for my seeking information brain, she gave me the words, the phrases, and the information exactly in a way that I could understand. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say this because human design has been changing my life. And I'm sure everyone who comes into human design feels the same. And Robin, for me, is one of those guarding angels who just opens you the doors and with her books, and we will talk about the books. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Juliette. I'm touched and honored to be here.
I want to ask you maybe yourself to talk about human design and you and how, your journey in it, just to introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. I was introduced to human design in 2004 by a colleague. I was doing the diamond work. For any of you who are familiar with the diamond work, I was doing the diamond work, and I was in a teacher training, and she kept talking about human design. It took me a year before I had my first session. My first session. So I went to her. She was actually from Ireland, by the way, and she said, "Oh, well, it's right that you took a year because you have a defined solar plexus, and you need to take time to make decisions." And it was a bit overwhelming, to be honest. There was so much information, and I discovered I'm a generator, and that made a lot of sense to me. And my partner, now wife, was a projector, like you. And that was the biggest opening because we had a fabulous relationship, but there were places we just couldn't figure each other out. And I'd wake up in the morning, I wanted to go. She wanted to hang out in bed and rest. She was more cat-like. I was more dog-like, right? And this context gave us a whole new way to enter our relationship and enter a level of respect and honoring of each other. It was quite profound, actually. It was one of those paradigm shifts where everything changes. And it wasn't until 2013 that I read Karen Curry Parker's book, Understanding Human Design, that the whole thing just downloaded in me. It just downloaded. It was so clear and so simple and so easy. And suddenly we could get charts of people. I was a psychotherapist. I got charts of all my clients, sat there with a chart in the sessions and talked to them about their chart week after week after week. We looked at their charts, and like it did with my relationship, it totally shifted how I worked with clients, how I saw them, how they saw themselves. It shifted us out of a victim from circumstances pattern to, oh my gosh, I'm a projector. No wonder my mom didn't hear me. Instead of my whole life is doomed because I wasn't seen, right? It shifted everything. And after a while, I wouldn't see clients unless they would give me their birth time because it didn't make sense to me. And eventually, I just started doing human design sessions because even the psychotherapy felt burdened a little bit. And I obviously found very quickly there were more people to serve than I could possibly serve. And so that's when I began writing and training other coaches and therapists to use human design. Any coaching program I was in, I would sit back like horrified watching people be coached when I knew their design. Like, you can't do that to a 4-1. You can't treat a projector like that. It was a miss after miss after miss. And it was just like, oh my gosh, people need this knowledge. They just need this knowledge. So That's when I tried to write it in a way that could be understood and easily accessible and usable to anyone, not so esoteric, not so rabbit hole, right? Just what do we need to use it in a real relational way to make the shifts, to treat people differently, to bring compassion and kindness and understanding to differences. That's the crux of it. How do we,
I,
yeah.
I actually can resonate so much with what you said on a personal level. Is definitely saving my marriage. And it's not that it was in trouble, but it shifts everything, the understanding. And the funny thing about human design is that when you open yourself to it, it's this light that's coming out of you. Even my husband, who's never asked me about any of the things that I was into, asks me questions about human design. I'm very proud. And our relationships, just there's a level of awareness, as you said. And then in marketing, and I have over 2 decades experience as organic marketing, building visibility. It's so painful to be taught and to be forced into doing things that really are against your nature. And your coach would say something, trust me, Juliette. And you feel you're falling apart because, one, the other part starts feeling ashamed. And I'm sure that so many people have been there. Or even if there was no coach, but just trying something that they've heard or learned and it didn't work, and they think that there's something wrong with them. And that's the worst thing. There's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just understanding what, and I love the fact that human design's permission to be you. I'm really on the bus talking about it as in, this is your comfort zone. You don't need to step out of this comfort zone. You need to explore it, embody it, and make sure you raise the vibration. But this is the comfort zone where you're going to speak with conviction when you're comfortable. You're going to show up. You're going to show up in life, not even just in business, in much more empowered way, right? If you just embrace that.
It, totally. I can remember I was looking at a chart of a manifester who was struggling, and I'm like, you need to be out there. You need to voice. Step out there, put it out there. And she looked at me, she said, oh my God, I was trying to follow the coach. I was trying to be good. And I'm like, and as soon as she stepped out, the whole thing changed. It's so simple, really. It doesn't take much awareness, what you said. It doesn't take much awareness. Oh, I can do it my way. I can do it in my comfort zone. The permission, the permission is so profound because the conditioning is so thick and heavy.
It's so true. And you mentioned manifestors, and if you're a manifester, please do whatever the heck you want, because it's terrible when you try and follow and try and look for that advice that's going to work for you. You can lean into what sparkles in your mind. And I see that so many times. And I know, use your voice. I say that to my clients, use your voice. And I know because I get goosebumps when they speak. If I react like this, imagine people who are your, potential clients. They will be ready, to people work with people. It's all about personal connection. And particularly I loved in your books, and I think it's in specifically in this one, understanding your clients. Here you have it, Andy. Understanding your clients through human design, the breakthrough technology. What I loved about it, there was a special section after each type that you described, how to work with clients, but it applies to everyone in your life. So if you are dealing with a manifestor, what to encourage, what to help them cope with, or how to approach this, how to understand this. I really, really highly recommend that. This is a must read for everyone, whether you're going to use it in your business or not. But it's very tempting. It's very tempting. So the reason why, and there's this one book, the other book is far out of my reach because I haven't finished it. It's a book about centers, and it's really big, and so it's just needs to be taken one by one. But there was the third book that just came out, and I was so excited. I feel like a stalker. I think I stalked you a little bit with that book. I sent you so many messages and replied to the emails and did the reviews, even though I couldn't do the reviews on some sites. I found a way. I was so excited because it was about my favorite currently topic, which is profiles. And because the profiles is how people perceive you and how you perceive yourself, to simplify it. And for my brain, I love this whole thing, how we connect, how do we understand each other? How do we express ourselves in a most natural way so others can, so it becomes magnetic to others. And the profiles is that kind of thing for me. However, this is only, again, the tip of the iceberg in human design. And so before we started recording this episode, Robin suggested that we're going to do maybe a different exploration into profiles. And we will maybe start with the first profile. Coincidentally, it's my profile, right? 1-3. So I'm going to shamelessly plug my chart into this episode, and we're going to share a screen, and we're going to talk through a little bit in terms of visibility, in terms of online marketing, but all those things are actually just your empowerment and, aligning yourself with who you are. So is that okay with you?
Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. So before I pull up your chart, let me just, I know people have been following you, but let me just articulate again so everybody knows that the profiles are taken from the human design chart, and they are taken from the 6 lines of the I Ching. So, and then they're paired. So for example, your sun in your chart is in 64.1. So you're a first line profile, conscious first line, and your unconscious sun is 35.3. So you're a 1-3 profile. So I just got this idea. I don't know if it works, but I'm playing with it. Like, if you think of the 1 and you think of the 3, they're 2 different energies, but they come together. Each one of those lines is alive. They have a frequency. Some people even say they're like a being or an energy field, energy force. So if you think of them as 2 different energies that come together and have to work together in some way. And I just got this thought when we were talking before we got on. Like, say the 1 is Estonia and the 3 is Ireland. And they have to come together in some kind of way and figure out how to have both of those energies work together. So I don't know. I just had that thought when we were talking.
That is very funny, because even though for those of you guys who are following me for 4 years, and you know how my whole story of leaving Estonia, looking for my second half, I found him here. I found him in Ireland. I said here by habit. I found him in Ireland, and then it took 20 years, and I fetched him back, and we sort of did this 20%. But he is Irish. So in a way, what you just said is very poignant in my life still. I have to make this work. I have to make line 1, which is, and line 3, these 2 energies work. And I love that. So yes, I love how this analogy. Thank you so much for bringing this up.
So let me just say, and then I'll pull up your chart, that the 1 is called the investigator. For those of you, probably you know that, the investigator, and needs information in order to feel grounded and safe. It's like driven by information. And that is a powerful resource kind of person who's going to look for all the information. You're looking for all the information on marketing. We can trust you to resource, to look and investigate all the different ways you could market, all the different ways, different types of people could market, the different types in human design could market. That's kind of a long suit for you, we could say. Once you have enough information, then we go to line 3, which is the explorer. I'm sorry, it's called the martyr in human design. I like the word, the explorer.
I do as well. In fact, I was coming up with some marketing archetypes for the lines, and I called it a pathfinder, because it's like that machine that goes into
that. I like that.
Like on Mars, unknown ground, and you're going in, and sometimes you fall, and then you have to find your way and go back on track and just go explore. So that's something that I associate so much more than, say, explorer as a person who explores.
You know, actually, I'm changing that. I just realized I've changed that name to experimenter. Someone who experiments. It feels even closer to that energy. You're experimenting. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And you're willing to experiment. You're willing to martyr yourself to be the one that tries. You're willing to try it and have it fail. So you're experimenting over and over and over again. What works? What doesn't work? And it's like you're gathering information and aligning by all of that variability that you're discovering. You know, when a child learns to walk, they put their foot here, they put their foot here, they put their foot here, and then they find it here. That's what the 1-3 is kind of doing that. Where is the place where it works, where we have ground?
It's not a conscious thing, this whole exploration, but it's the thing is that you need to know what works. And the only way you know what works is if something else, if the only way you know what works is if you've lived through it. And so there is no choice but try it yourself. Otherwise, you're just talking, it's hollow. It doesn't have the backing to it. That's my feeling about this.
Exactly. You can tell a 1-3, don't touch that, it's hot. And they have to touch it to figure out that it's actually hot. They can't believe it until they touch it.
I can't believe you just said that, because another famous story that I say is about me at the age of 4, almost drowning in a pond with a tiny ice when mom said, don't skate on this ice. It's only 1 millimeter. You can't skate on this. And Juliette had to go and almost died. So it's exactly that. You have to know yourself.
And again, so that's the word martyr comes from that, because you're willing to put yourself on the line to figure it out, because it matters. You're bringing this energy of, we need to figure this out. We need to get this right. We need to find our way through here. So it's a very powerful resource that you bring to humanity, that 1-3. And there's a quality of that 1-3 of being, again, if you think of the 6 lines, they start at the bottom and they go up. The first 3 lines are more geared towards learning through the self, operating through the self. So you're getting your information in life through your own experiences, through your own investigations, through your own experimentation. So there's a real independent streak with that 1-3.
And it's actually a journey of really stepping into this independence and actually saying, it's okay to, in a way, not have to run a community. It's okay not to look out to other people and not do the traditional networking, events or things like that, because it's not what serves you. What serves you is to share what you have inside. And for me, it was a huge journey of empowering myself, because there's a lot of conditioning that comes with what we should be doing and how we should come. And is it selfish, or does anyone care? If you're a 1-3, share what you have inside. I just wanted to say this. It's such an important message. Too many people hold back.
And if you're coaching a 1-3, you want to give them the respect of that process and that path. You don't want to come in on them. You want to give them their own journey of discovery, and 100% support that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, beautiful.
Or parent or child or partner, whomever that would be. There's a respect that comes in, let's see how you're going to figure that out. Let's see what you're going to do with that. Rather than coming in and say, oh, no, you can't do it that way.
You're so right. I had 2 parents who were completely different in their approach. My dad would be very, you don't leave the table until you finish this plate. And he was like pushing. So it was war. Me and dad, it was war. But my mom, all my family, by the way, are 3-5. Everyone. It seems like no one in my family now, my daughter, my husband, and my mom, my dad, my sister, 3-5. My mom saw this. She had the wisdom or intuition to actually let me make mistakes. Maybe it happened after that situation with the pond, and she never said no to me, but she always said, okay, well, go ahead and try, even when I knew that she was biting her tongue and she wanted to say, don't do this, and I could see that she's like that. And still I would go and do something, and sometimes do silly things, and she'll say, you're a fool. But she never said no. And so it really worked for me in my growth. So it's very interesting. I never thought about this.
Yeah. So if you're a 1-3 and you're not experimenting, because I know people who are 1-3s who aren't experimenting, because like if they had 2 parents like your parents, perhaps they were like, no, it's scary. It's threatening. Yeah. Or we're threatened by experimentation, right? And wanted to contain out of love, no judgment, out of love, and thinking they know what's best. You might be walking through the world investigating, but not having that that spark that gives you the permission to explore, and I just, to experiment. And I just want to really encourage you to take baby steps and find little ways to experiment, to re-engage that muscle of experimentation, because that is your birthright. That is a great gift for you.
It's very satisfying when you know, and you can only know by living through it. As a 1-3, I can guarantee. So you are missing out if you're not allowing yourself to think you're going to fail, but there's no failure. It's if you were to walk to the wall, right? And you know that you can't walk through the wall. It's ridiculous. You can't walk through the wall. You have to turn left or right. That's all what happens when something doesn't work out. You just have to change direction. It's just so simple. There is no stress in terms of failure. All the stress we're putting on, or we're conditioned by someone else who maybe doesn't have the resilience or the exploration traits that line 3 gives us. And it's a gift. It's definitely a gift.
It's a gift. It's a gift. So let's pull up your chart, because we just talked about the broad, 1-3. It's like, oh, I'm from Ireland. Oh, I'm from Estonia. But we're not talking about all the, well, what city are you from there? Were you raised Catholic or were you raised Protestant? I just watched Belfast. What are the textures of this? So I want to pull up your chart and show some of the textures of what you might be inclined to investigate, what you might be inclined to experiment with. Juliette, you've got the 64th, you've got the sun in your 64th hexagram. So this is right brain energy, right? This is right brain downloads. It's called the gate of confusion because you're taking in big chunks of information that don't necessarily make sense right away. They're not linear. It's not linear information. It's not left brain, right? So you're looking at, how do I make sense of this information I'm getting? How do I let it land? So you're going to be investigating in a right brain way. Now, this is one piece. There's many, I'm going to say many pieces. That's one piece that you're going to be investigating in this right brain way. We're looking at your sun, your unconscious sun, in gate 35, which is also right brain energy. And this is the energy of jumping in and articulating things. And this is the jack of all trades. Tremendous. You've got talent, right? You just got talent up the wazoo. You're just one talented woman for sure. But you're experimenting with, well, what do I say and how do I say it and what's going to work with how I say it? Again, marketing, right? We could say this is, you're experimenting with what to say in marketing. Right?
Absolutely. Yes. It's all about content and writing and talking. It's absolutely 100%.
100%. Yeah. So then I'm sticking with the 1-3, even though we're coming to some of the other planets. So your moon, which drives you, is in gate 54. Now, this is interesting. This is about business. So you're experimenting and you're exploring and you're investigating business. Sound like we're in the ballpark here, right? And
totally.
Your unconscious moon is in the gate of answers. So you're investigating answers. What answers can we come up with for these? What will be the solutions to this problem? You're trying different answers. You're experimenting with different answers. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? You don't know until you try it, right?
Absolutely. And we're finding solutions to fix things, to fix problems as well. I can see that there's 5, and I would say yes.
Now we come down to Neptune, which is in gate 9, which is left brain energy. And also the gate 4 is left brain. So you've got this right brain, left brain. You're looking from both angles, right? When we first got on the call before we started, you said, I was looking for a way to understand human design in a logical way that made sense to me, right? So this is that right brain that's looking at, left brain that's looking at, what am I focused on? Where am I going to focus? So your spiritual path is really looking at, where do we put our focus? Do we put our focus on the cancer and the doom? No. We put our focus on going forward and figuring out what works, right? Where are we going to put our focus? Where are we going to put our focus in marketing? right? You're experimenting, you're exploring, you're investigating that. If we look at your unconscious Neptune, it's in gate 5, which is also your unconscious Earth, and this is the gate of rhythm. So you're looking at, well, how do we market how do we explore, how do we investigate what works in a rhythmic way? What do we do regularly that's going to produce, yeah, she's nodding her head. What are we going to do regularly that produces results? Right? And this could be, go ahead, sorry.
This is a big dilemma with human design. When I came across human design before last year, literally, I was called the queen of visibility because my consistency, I do a lot of talks about how to stay consistent. And then I came across human design. And as a projector, I'm not consistent in terms of how I work. I work in leaps and bursts, and then I might have 3 weeks of nothingness, but I'm still consistent in terms of my visibility. And so now I can see that, yes, the patterns, and of course it's all about consistency, and it all makes sense. And that's why I was, nodding and laughing, thinking, aha, this explains why I can be consistent.
Yeah, and it's actually your spiritual path. So anything you do, not just marketing, anything you do, you're exploring, well, what is the pattern that's going to work for me? You're investigating what's going to work. Yeah, well, maybe the consistency of visibility is, or so you're visible consistently, but your energy pattern is different. So maybe that is your pattern, right? You do a burst, then you rest. You do a burst, then you rest. Maybe
That's
that is
right.
your
Yeah.
consistent pattern that you're doing, but it's supported. It's deeply supported. Anything that has a pattern for you is deeply supportive and creates openings for new possibilities. So again, we're looking at your 1-3 profile in this, you're experimenting, you're investigating, well, what pattern is going to work for me? Now, I'll just say this one thing and you can play with it and see what you think, because I find this a lot with coaches. We teach what's true for us, and it could be that it's true for someone else, but it could be that it's not true for somebody else too, right? So consistency might not be somebody else's long suit, right? A manifester, that might not be their long suit, right? Someone with a gate 15, the gate of extremes, they might do way better to do big bursts of, downloads with their marketing and then pause. Impact people, pause. Impact people, pause. So that's I just wanted to name that as one of the discernments that we can take what works for us and project it that would work for everybody, and it's not necessarily the case.
I think it happens a lot, and it's just it's not like a bad thing, or it's just something that naturally happens, I think, to most of us. We just have to be growing awareness and pull back a little bit sometimes.
And it's not that it's not true. Like I don't have, well, I'm a 6'2" profile. I have a 6'2" profile, and my book coach, for example, is a 3'5", and she is always experiment, 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 experiment. Everything is an experiment. And it's a stretch for me. I mean, I have the 3 from the 6, but it's a stretch, and it broke me out of a perfectionistic model to do more of the experimenting with book writing, which is going to be visible and people are going to see, and oh my God, right? But I could learn from her, even though it's not my long suit. I could learn. Like someone could learn from you about consistency. They may not use it all the time, or they might get a new habit. So I'm saying two contradictory things at once. Excuse me.
No, I actually personally think that what you're saying is really on point here, because I, even in my own experience, I've been following some coaches before I came across human design. All of them were manifesting generators, as it turns out now. But I was following these vibrant, charismatic coaches with their certain, tactics that really they're not very aligned with me. But there were definitely some elements that I took. And I think that that's how we learn. Sometimes people come and they pay a lot of money for the coaching program and they feel like they have to learn every little thing, or their investment is not justified. And it's a wrong way to see it, because there's only something in there for you. And if you took that something, even if it was one thing, then everything, your time, your money, and everything you invested is justified. So what you just said is exactly that. You take a little bit and you learn from someone who, this is not your way, but sometimes you can kind of take that, take it on and use it, and then put it on the shelf.
Exactly, or use it as needed, right?
Yes, exactly.
According to the situation. Like, yeah, maybe consistency for this project is right on, right? But there's
Yeah,
discernment. There's discernment.
it's so true. Mm.
So if we look at where does transformation happen in you and around you, and how are you going to be investigating it and exploring that, or experimenting with that? Well, Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in gate 48. Now this again is left brain, right? So it's logical and it's deep. So you want to go deep. You're going deep with human design. You're going deep with marketing. You're mastering. This is a talent line. This is mastery from like playing the violin over and over and over again until you get
Repetition. Mm.
repetition, until you get to that place where you can let go and let the magic happen, because the repetition has created a foundation that allows for that the letting go, right? So here you're going to be investigating what's mastery. How do we do this? Let's try this again. Let's try it this, and experimenting, right? Investigating and experimenting, investigating and experimenting, gathering information, gathering information, gathering information. It's kind of, this is like a cousin to the first line profile, this 48. It wants
It
information.
also has a one line as well, so that's kind of doubles up on
Yeah,
needing to know this foundation.
exactly. So transformation happens for you and the people around you when you're going deep, when you're mastering something. So you being on this show, or producing this show, is a mastery show, really. You're calling on masters, you're doing your own mastery work, you're sharing that with people, and that's where a huge amount of transformation can happen for people, in the wake of your mastery and calling people to their mastery.
It's amazing that you just said that, because when I started my online visibility journey, the very first thing I did, I created a chat show, because I thought that if people see me on screen alongside awesome people in my niche, then my positioning will grow, and I'll be exposed to more people. That's the left brain. That's a very logical brain. The right brain just knew that's the right thing to do energetically, and just get into it, get involved, be with these people, and just connect in this energy, and that was just drawing me. And that's what created a huge, strong foundation for my brand. And the brand is how people perceive you, and how they're, how easily they will invest with you too, because we judge the book by its cover. So it's so interesting that you said that, because it's really true. When you are mastering something, and a show, and I always encourage people to start something like this, it definitely it's going to expand your mind, but it also adds to this whole magic of the sharing your voice, mastering it while you are connecting to someone, and bringing more value to your audience through that. So thank you for mentioning this, and I wanted to share that.
Well, I want to piggyback on that for a second before I go to the unconscious Pluto, which is the 1-3 profile is about investigating, experimenting, and then becoming, from all of that information and trial and error, becoming the authority. So you have become the authority. You have taken your position. You have done the mastery work and stepped in to your seat at the table, your rightful seat at the table. So that's your shining example of the 1-3 saying yes to herself and to those energies, those two different, really different energies. Now,
Can I add something just before we
yes.
go in this? Because I know a lot of 1-3s and I know, guys, how you think. And I know with all this, trust me, this is not that you suddenly wake up, it's like, I'm a master. You don't feel like this. There is insecurity that comes with line 1 that I don't know if I know enough, and so this kind of something that when you step back from your insecurities and from all this noise in your head and you look at yourself, that's when you can see that. You can absolutely see that. But there is this voice, don't believe it. Sometimes you are the master already.
I have chills when you say that. Yeah, we have to be careful with that ego mind that wants to undermine. We have to start with the premise that we are good. We are good, and it's like, I love that word entelechy, which is the Greek word for, the acorn becoming the oak tree. Like, we want more of you. We want more of you. We don't want you to be different than who you are. We want more of you. When you show up as you, oh my gosh, it's like the sunrise. It's like we get your nature. We get your natural state. And this one is a little bit insecure, and it gets security through investigating. So give yourself the gift of being in your own space, in your own time, learning what you need to learn, mastering what you need to master, and then embodying. This 3 is embodiment. This is not just, we could say head body in a way, a little bit bringing the head and the body together, because that investigator is getting the information. But the 3 is total embodiment. You have to embody it and give yourself the opportunity to embody what you're learning.
And I'm going to add to this, because with then marketing and content, just to be very, very clear, when we're talking about investigating, again, don't be afraid to start sharing. That's where you can really get hooked up and hold yourself back so much. You are investigating, you probably know more already than a lot of people who came to the same subject at the same time, right? Because you have that real talent. But I feel like sometimes you can think, I'm not ready, I still need to learn. No, start sharing. The best advice I got from another 1-3, a human design coach, Luciano Armani, he said to me, it's like a house, and when you pour a foundation, that's concrete, that doesn't move. If you feel something that's concrete, you can share that. And I feel this so, and I want to spread this message further, because otherwise you're going to be holding yourself back. Because my question to him was like, when do you share? I was so desperate. And he's like, yeah, some things you already know. You don't need to know it all. So that's the one thing. And the 3 is all about storytelling and telling the stories of your failures and your trials and what didn't work. You can tell people what doesn't work. And that's so beautiful, because it makes you relatable. It helps you, share these perspectives that you have as line 1. That's your unique vision. And so I just wanted to plug this in, because I know that they will hold themselves back. They don't know when they are ready, when they have embodied, when they are ready to share. They just don't know. This comes with insecurity. It's good to face your insecurity and know when it is what it is.
Right, and you're pointing to the 3 is unconscious, right? So you have to tap the unconscious. You have to tap that. You have to let yourself, there's a surrender in that exploration, in that experimentation. You have to let that go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Juliette. It's very moving. The support for the 1-3 to embody and speak and get the information you need and have that be your foundation and go from there. And see, you can't make a mistake, right? The 3, we say, never makes mistakes. You ask them, well, what did you learn from that? You're here to martyr yourself. You're here to put yourself out there. So what if you say, tell a story you shouldn't have told, or, okay. What did you learn? All right, well, I'm going to do it differently next time, right? It's a constant upgrading.
It's true.
Upgrading.
If you're a 1-3, don't worry about getting it right when you're saying something. Don't worry about, I need to be prepared. I want to get, the right words. One of my I love the client, 1-3 client who just said it to me today. I need to prepare and have the right words. Darling, you have the right words. Just let them flow. Because Otherwise, you are actually holding back. You're not tapping into that unconscious gift of storytelling. Just open your mouth and start speaking, honestly.
Yeah. Now let's say you do have the gate of storytelling. Let's be clear.
Okay.
So this is something. Okay, let me come to the 18 first, and then
Mhm.
I'll go to that. So the other place transformation happens is in this very right brain, left brain, I'm sorry, very left brain gate of correction. So again, this is almost like layer upon layer of you looking for, you've got it throughout your chart. This is a theme for you. Like, how do I upgrade this? How do I upgrade this? You have it in the 1, you have it in the 24, you have it in the 18, you have it in the 44. You're looking at, okay, what's my focus? Like, you're continue. This is your particular puzzle piece, is looking to upgrade, find the next answer, find the best answer. Your
Align,
transformation, yeah, you're all about
align.
align, align,
Mhm.
align, 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 and keep. It's like it's like a child learning to walk. They have to keep finding their way until they find that midline, where you're looking for that midline and all these different movements that you're doing, all the different marketing, relationship, whatever. Where's the midline? Let's come back to the midline.
That 18 energy, it's very strong. It's very strong. It's very interesting and very strong. I have 3 planets in 18. Mercury as well is conscious Mercury.
Mars.
There's an 18-3. Can get obsessive with corrections and cleaning house.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you're experimenting with what to say, when to say it, how to say. You're a projector and you're exploring with what to say and when to say it, right? You're exploring with how do I support people to have their creative expression. So the way I'm looking at it, and other people may look at it differently, the 1-3 trumps everything in the chart. You might have a line 1 here, but and that would be, oh yeah, you're investigating uh, how to help people ex, uh, express themselves. But it's also the 1-3. It's always the 1-3 is the umbrella over all of it. That that's how I see it.
it it's interesting because I did hear somebody, and I don't want to say something that's wrong, but there was this like, what's my accumulative energy of lines? Like, how many ones do we have in our chart? How many, and what is the prevailing energy? So, for example, I had a session with a lady who was 4-6, and yet she was really identifying with line 1 because she was an investigator, and I'm sure that there's things were going on, but she had a lot of ones in the other planets. So what you're saying, and that's, we're not contradicting, we're just kind of offering perspectives, right? So
Exactly.
the profile where your sun is on conscious and unconscious side, this is your main energy. This is the most palpable energy that's going to then affect and penetrate everything. And then the other things, they're just small nuances. Am I understanding this?
That's how I experience it and perceive it. If you think the sun is the largest energy, it's like some people say it's 70% of
Yeah.
the energy in your chart. And then the profile, the incarnation cross, which is the conscious and unconscious sun and earth, that's the main umbrella over your whole chart. So that's the biggest energy moving through you. So, you have a 1-3 profile. That's your called your profile. So that's going to impact every piece of your chart. And then, like you said, there's these refinements of the 20.1, the 18.4. Yeah, well, okay, let's look at that 18 in Mars versus the 18 in Mercury. How do those show up? We can keep refining. If you think of the analogy of the country, like, oh, we've got Ireland, and then we've got Dublin, and then we've got a barrio in Dublin. It's like keep each, it's different, but it's the big piece is Ireland, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Or we've got the city and we've got the country, and it keeps refining down. Um, so what I wanted to say was, we're talking about some of the positive, and I don't mean this positive negative, but like when you think of your 1-3, where you're impacting people through Pluto, through Mercury, through your moon, And then we come to Jupiter, which is your blessing place. Like it's 20.1 there, you're investigating and experimenting. I'm going to bring both of them in with how to speak in the moment and how to connect people together. Like you're connecting us together, right? You're connecting us with your audience. It's like, but it's in the moment. You do a podcast. That's what you do. It's in the moment. You're investigating and experimenting with information in the moment, right? That brings blessings. You're investigating and experimenting with how do you receive? How do you receive? What are you receiving? What can people receive? Yeah, it's deeply feminine, right?
It's a beautiful energy. I love that gate 2 energy, the receiving. I'm experimenting with it literally by saying, I am receiving stuff today. And then there's payment notifications coming in, somebody else doing something, somebody sent me a gift. I got this free something and, a huge discount. And I'm saying, oh, this is interesting because I allowed it consciously today. It's just such a beautiful energy.
It is so beautiful. Yeah. And when you think about marketing, since that's what we're talking about, that 2 energy is, we're not just giving to people, we're also receiving them.
Oh, yes.
And
Oh,
sometimes
yes.
when you're overgiving, you are pushing people away, right?
It's such a huge topic in marketing. How much value do you give? And to understand that you are the value. And that has been my message, after I've myself embodied it or embodying it as we go, because I think it's a journey, but it's amazing. It's really true.
So you've been experimenting with how to embody receiving and this 2 energy, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So if we take a slightly different look then at, okay, well, where do we have some challenges maybe with our profile? Where might that show up? And we can look to Saturn and we can look to Chiron for some potential challenges. Maybe Mars. There could be some challenges with Mars if, we've got this powerful energy and we don't know how to use it. It's kind of, like a puppy that has big paws and hasn't grown into its, control. So sometimes that Mars yang energy can be all over the place. But really, if we come down to your Chiron, which is in gate 3, this is where my sun is, difficulty at the beginning. And we have someone who's a projector, someone who needs to gather information and experiment, and maybe is experimenting with new things and it's not being received as a projector, not being seen as, for whatever reason, speaking out of turn or, speaking when it's not, I don't know. I'm just playing here. What could
Yes,
happen?
yes.
What could happen with the 3 energy that might be challenging to the 1-3 profile?
Not knowing for sure.
Yeah.
So you are forced into exploring sometimes because you're forced into exploring.
Aha, interesting. And exploring new things that people don't get or understand yet, like even human design could be,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
So the Chiron could be a place we could look for where we have some wounding around our profile, but also where we have the potential to be the healer. Like you're coming forward with human design and saying, yo, here's this cool new thing, right? I've been investigating it. I've been experimenting with it. It works, right? So you become the wounded healer. That resonates, or how does that?
Yes, absolutely. Because even what with this example with myself, human design for me is something that can help heal the wound of someone who is so disheartened with trying to promote themselves online, which is can be a very difficult task. So it really brings this energy, even if you don't think you're a healer, but if you are adding to someone, if you're removing the pain, and that's what we do as coaches, we remove the pain and we add alignment or we help realign. And that definitely does resonate.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? And
Sure, of
it
course.
could be a beginner question, but maybe somebody also watching this, they might ask. So we have the Chiron in 3 in both gates, but I don't have it defined on my chart.
No, we don't put it on the chart. It's not,
Okay.
it doesn't it doesn't count in that way. It's a newer planet that was discovered. It's not even exactly a planet, I don't think. Um, so it doesn't show up on the chart. So it doesn't create a channel, for example. But it's still it's still a force. It's still an influence.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So the other place I want to say that we could have some challenges with our profile or look to see how it might show up. And we've got it here unconsciously in the storyteller in Saturn. So you have gotten encouragement to tell your stories, right? You had that coach that said, it's pour the concrete, go tell your story. But prior to that, there might have been some hesitation, not wanting to make a mistake with which story you told, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Saturn doesn't want us to make the same mistake twice. Saturn wants to keep us on track. So you're there's the pull to be on track, which can be a little bit um, in conflict with this 3, right? The 3
Yeah.
needs to experiment, and Saturn's saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Let's get enough information before we experiment. Let's not throw ourselves to the wolves. Let's make sure your stories are on track and in alignment, and then, yeah, oh my gosh, then you can receive, right? Then the bounty will come in.
And this is an unconscious energy, which in a way means that you have a little less control
Exactly.
of that energy. And I always attributed this struggle. I so can resonate with everything you just said. This is the story in my mind. This is a struggle in my mind. Let's try it, but then there's something, holding back. Is it, is it the right time? Is it the right thing to say? And I always attributed it to the insecurity of line 1 that I mentioned before, but this is the deeper dive. So I'm absolutely loving this. See, these are, like we said, we're honing in on the aspects and where is this coming from? So that's the Saturn.
So the conscious Saturn is in gate 33. And now this is a gate of like really stepping back and reflecting and looking back at your life and getting the wisdom from your past, right? Getting the jewels from your past. Now, if you're not doing that, or if you're looking from a victimized place, for example, and reifying your story, a bad story about someone or something, or, I'm a victim of my childhood, and not that we didn't have our, issues. I'm saying we did. I'm not doing spiritual bypass here. But there's ways to look at that with awareness that can move you forward, and there's ways that can keep you stuck in the story. So you're investigating here, like, how do I look at my past? Right?
It's true. I really can I can testify for this. You can get fixated on stories of the victim being a victim to your past. Sometimes we get memories, in Facebook, memories from this is what you posted last year or 3 years ago. And I'm reading some of the posts in the beginning of my online visibility journey, and I was in a very sore place, especially working with unaligned misaligned clients, nightmare clients, let's say. And that was exactly what you just described, was exactly in those posts. It was this fixation on the problem without actually moving on. You just keep looking back instead of, okay, let's make some sort of peace with this and then go forward.
Exactly. And learn from it, right?
Yes,
What did I learn from that? Instead of using that 3 as, okay, what did I learn? We can use it as that was a mistake. Right?
exactly.
If
Yeah.
we're not aligned with these beautiful energies that are supports, this 1-3 is a huge support. It's like a gift for you, right? It's a superpower. You've got this superpower. Are you going to use it? Are you going to use it against yourself? Or are you going to use it for yourself? The last thing I want to say here, unless you have questions, is another kind of super interesting and a little tricky place with, if we're looking at the 1-3 profile and your planets, is Uranus is in 28, conscious and unconscious. Now 28, for those of you who know human design, is the gate of struggle. I love this gate. It's in my Neptune. It's my spiritual path. But if we're looking at, you're investigating and experimenting with struggle. What's a good struggle? Right? And you're doing it in unusual and surprising ways.
Yeah, I can definitely see that 100%, especially with technology. I always find that there's a lot of struggle. You find the way and also assess it, because the struggle is a bad word in a way, it has this bad connotation. But it's also you can also say struggle is an experiment
It
or
is.
exploration, right? And so, you just have
Exactly.
to always think that I always way before I discovered human design, I always said I'm such an optimist, and now I know it's this whole thing about, hang on a second, well, it's an experiment, let's see where it will bring us, because I believe there's something beyond this struggle right now. And so
In a
what's
way.
there?
Yeah, exactly. In a way, we could say the 1-3, is the 28 in a certain way. Like, let's get the information and try, right? It's a perfect match if you're not making yourself wrong, right? For the experimentation. If
Exactly.
you're
It's
if you're
lovely, yeah.
willing to play, let the struggle be play. Like, well, total experimentation, total investigation.
I love this. I am so glad that we're talking about the gate of struggle, because a lot of people get so put off by the name of it, but it has a very beautiful energy. And if you lean into it and if you embrace it, it doesn't feel like a struggle. You definitely know that when things get tough, you don't have to beat yourself up. You can just allow it to unfold. Sometimes you need to step back even, but you will find the way for this to unfold.
Well, I like what you're saying, because when you think about it, when we're struggling with something, it's undifferentiated. As you differentiate, as you investigate, as you explore, that you break it down and you can work with the pieces and shift what you're working with, and create a whole new world out of that, staying with and differentiating. So,
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for saying this.
yeah.
I am so grateful, because it just turned into a human design reading for Juliette, and I am very happy about it, even though it wasn't my intention. I really thought, here's an interesting thing, and I'm going to just say it because it feels the right way to say. So this episode turned into basically talking about the 1-3 profile, and while it makes me as a 1-3 very happy, but it's also, there's so many 1-3s there who I think need to dive much deeper into this energy. And using my chart here, it was more as an example of how you can bring those energies of the 1 and the 3 into the other areas and what's going on there. And why am I saying this? So I originally thought, after I read and I swallowed your profiles book. It was literally in a couple of hours. That's how I just read it all. And I thought, okay, I want to help teach this as well. Maybe we can go and talk about marketing for all the profiles. Sorry, all the other profiles, but we didn't have time to do that. But it's a great opportunity for you to go and grab the book and learn for yourself as well, because there's just so much. But I know that, Robin, before I let you go, I know that there is actually even a better gift that you have for our audience, that they can take the next step and then just get to know you further.
I'm just gonna say something that is brand new for me. Um, I have been working with a fellow. You don't know anything about this, Juliette. I have been working with a fellow for the last 2 years who does essential oils, Every weekend, I've gone into a deep dive to connect with my essential self through essential oils. And I was sitting and thinking, you know what? There's got to be a way to work with the oils, with the profiles, and with the human design chart. And I asked him, and he's a master. Greg is a master, and he made oils for all the profiles. And I literally got them last night, and I spent 2 hours this morning working with them, and it is mind blowing. The
Wow.
access, I felt so different after I did the protocols. We worked with the line one, and then the line my line six, and then my line two, and then the six two together, and it just was incredible. So I'm just dangling that here because I'm going to be launching that. I'm going to be sharing that human design essential oils. So yeah, and
I'm
actually when we
so honored that, this is an exclusive.
it is
That is
totally an
amazing.
exclusive. Yeah, yeah. So I want to let you know that, and if you're interested, you can reach out to me. Info@clientsinhumandesign.com. If you don't have my first book, I'm happy to send you a free copy of that book, a digital link to get that. Um, so I can give that to you, Juliette, and you can put that in the,
We have that in the description of,
yeah,
so just one click, guys. Definitely. That's actually where I started. I downloaded your free PDF first, and then it wasn't enough. So I bought a Kindle version with the Audible, and that wasn't enough. So I got the actual book. It
yeah,
was so good.
yeah,
And it's a great introduction. If you even if you don't have to use human design in your work, but it will help you understand people around you. It will help you work with people if the human design comes and you might run their chart. Free chart is fine. And I just think that this is one of the easiest to follow but really comprehensive book. You're going to really enjoy it. You're going to really get everything, pretty much everything you need from this book. And I absolutely love the way. And another way, can I just give you another compliment about your writing? Because I'm sitting on this idea of writing a book. But when I read your book, I loved the way how it was organized. You would give the breakdown, this is what's going to be covered, and then you go deep into each part. And somehow for me, although I can read any kind of information of any sorts, whatever you presented, but that really worked. I loved these little bits of information and so well organized. So that was really, really enjoyable.
when I write, I'm connecting to the chart. I'm connecting to, um, yeah, it's the transmission. The intention is to share the transmission. So I think that's what you
Definitely
got.
big tone. Yes, I definitely felt that. And that's why I think the second book takes a little longer time. There is just so much, and that's how I feel. There is serious download happening when with each of the centers and going deeper. So guys, get yourself the first book, the free PDF, and just go and grab yourself a proper book, right? Because it's really, really good. It's a great reference as well. If human design becomes more for you, like it did for me, it's a brilliant reference for you, just in case if you don't remember. The centers book, the second book, so beautifully deep, but so empowering. It's really empowering. No matter whether you have a defined center or you have an open center, sometimes I find, and especially in some human design groups, there's so much information. Some of it can sound a little off because people just don't understand. They start sharing, but they don't understand. So I find that Robin's book on centers was really, really empowering and lets you understand the other side that you can't experience.
Exactly. It's so powerful, isn't it? It's just what a gift that we've been given in this lifetime, this human design.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. And I'm glad that, people like yourself and hopefully myself as well, being the ambassadors for this concept. It's a very, very new concept. And a lot of people can say, whatever the origins and not very deep, not thousands of years old, but it's not. It's, a lot of things we are growing in our consciousness as humanity, and there's a lot of things that are coming into our world, I think. So the origin of these things right now shouldn't be questioned that much, because we're getting so many downloads. I don't know if you agree with me with this. We are getting a lot of downloads from the
Well,
outer.
the way I talk about it in my books, because I've been a student of Tibetan Buddhism for many years, and in Tibetan Buddhism they have things called terma, which it means it's information that's placed from ancient times and hidden either in mountains or in different places, hidden, and then at the right time that information is allowed to come out. And I feel like this is one of those termas. This information has been around forever. It's just we haven't had access to it. And now we have access to it. It was given to Ra. And
Yeah,
through being given to Ra, it was given to all of us.
exactly. Yes,
It's here for all of us. But I believe it's timeless information. But it's for this time right now. It wasn't for an earlier time, it's for this time. This time when
everything.
everything is so divisive, where we're going into
Yes,
polarities, where we're, you know, judging each other all over the place, and it's like it's for now. It's the
you
medicine
know,
for now.
it's so wonderful that you said that. I'm going to quote myself. I always say that before your dream comes true, there's going to be an earthquake. Something has to, the plateaus have to shift. So we are living in this world of shifting plateaus. But look at the new generation. They're much more open-minded. They're so, they're seeing each other differently. They're accepting each other so much more. And so you're right. This is the right timing. We always get things in the right timing.
Exactly.
Robin,
So
thank you so much for being my guest today. I really thoroughly enjoyed every minute that I spent with you. And guys, any questions you have, there's links here in the description to this show to follow Robin. Robin does wonderful videos on her Facebook profile every week about the energy of I don't remember the name of the lady that you do it with, but it's a beautiful collaboration that you have. I follow that. It always explains the energies, and it's great to have the explanation, so you don't have to think that something's wrong with you, right? Or you're too tired, or your anxiety coming in. There's certain things that influence us, so I definitely recommend following that. And of course, take it from there. And I'm just honored to introduce you to Robin today.
I am so blessed to be here. You are a wise soul. You are a deep, wise soul, and I always love projectors, and yeah, I feel very grateful that you invited me to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Guys, I will see you in the next episode of Visibility by Design.